We are live and welcome to episode 137 of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. We're going to talk about a lot of things here. We got the Celtics, we got Carmelo Anthony, we got some Raiders. We'll go into Bonanza. We got a lot of things to get into today on the podcast. We got the four of us here today. It's been a long time since the four of us have jumped on a podcast here together. We have a ton to get into. Hopefully we'll be able to make it through with everybody on the whole time. Let's start with you, Tyler. How you doing this week? I know you came off 2 straight weekends with weddings. Unbelievable. You're still surviving. You sound like you're playing a little bit injured here with cold. How are we doing there?
I mean, I'm alive. I made it through. My sister got married. Congratulations to her, Brianna, Alicia. Happily ever after. Hope you guys have a great marriage and everything works out for you. As far as myself, man, it was crazy 2 weekends, a real whirlwind. I'm glad it's over. I can focus now on my wedding that happens in November.
No, I'm just kidding. Not the important one. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's crazy that you're going to be getting married now in November. We got that coming up here to look forward to. Case, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It was good. Great weekend, really. Had you guys over. We had a bunch of ribs and got down on a bunch of food. And, man, so I might have been a little late to the show. Was getting here. I was like, man.
Well, that's kind of like it's like me when I don't say words right. That's kind of your thing here. You're always a couple minutes late on the show. That could be our thing. And then, of course, I got Brian, the main man, Johnson. We were talking a little wrestling, a little Seth Rollins action before we came out here. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It looks like he's going to be the first world heavyweight champion, and it makes sense because he's on Raw and Roman Reigns is on SmackDown, so that probably makes sense.
I gotta say, with Tyler, with the wedding, I heard a nasty rumor from my sister that apparently Emily said that she threw away her Fatboy FadeAway hat.
No, the old
one. I said, how rude, unnecessary. We were laughing about it. I thought that was hilarious. Emily, but a nasty rumor out there. We don't want any hats. You got to keep the merch. But that's hilarious. I was like, I thought her son gave it to him.
It's not a modern. He did.
It's not a modern one. I'll give you that. So, yeah, shout out to your sister there getting married. Happy Memorial Weekend to people enjoying. Hopefully a 3-day weekend. That's why we're here with you on a Monday morning. We all got the day off. That's a rarity for us here. So we're excited here to talk sports. And we have a Game 7 that we're going to get into as well today on Memorial Day, bringing back memories of the Warriors beating the Thunder on Memorial Day in 2016. We don't need to talk about the finals, but just that's what I remember from Memorial Day weekend the most. Couple shout outs here. Our guy Vegas Bench Warmers tuned in last week. P Shark Savage, my guy Ant with that hen house menu. It always makes me think of that beer that we love out here. Seawood, C. Henry, our guys out of your Falcon Line podcast are doing a show Tuesday. Make sure you leave a question for them. Our guys in Glorious Bastards, Josh, Asia for 3, Tom from Sacktown, really loving the Giants there lately, Tyler. Our guys from Far Into the Bench, DA, and the other sports show. They do a good showcase talking about wrestling over there and fighting and stuff. So, and of course, our guys, anybody over at Variety Sports Network here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. All right, gentlemen, without any more of that, let's get into the meat and potatoes here, as Tyler would say here. Will the Celtics come back and beat the Heat tonight? No team in NBA history has ever done this. We've had a few examples. I remember the Blazers one, and a lot of people I know don't remember that one, but obviously being a West Coast team, Portland, they were out late starts out here. And I just remember the Mavericks with that Nash Nowinski era. We're like, oh, are they going to blow it? Are they going to, then of course they end up winning the Game 7. It doesn't happen. Tyler, your thoughts here. Will the Celtics complete the sweep? You've been pretty kind of since the beginning. I liked your thing there on realism that you tweeted where you're like, the Heat kind of suck. You're like,
I don't think the Heat are that good. Outside of Jimmy Butler, who's just been phenomenal and deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done. I'm not trying to downplay what Jimmy has done on the court. He's phenomenal. The rest of the roster just doesn't do it for me. Caleb Martin's played out of his mind, and I thought he'd fall off for the next 3 games, and he played great last night or 2 nights ago. But the rest of the roster, Gabe Vincent isn't giving you 25 a game like he did in Game 2. And, the Max Strus is not a consistent player. Kevin Love is washed. I just don't buy this roster outside of Jimmy Butler. You look at the regular season numbers, and they're pathetic. They had a minus 140 on the year. They were like 21st in that. I think the proof's in the pudding. I think they got an easy route to the Eastern Conference Finals, playing the Knicks and getting Giannis, a weakened Giannis. And I just don't buy them. The Celtics played terrible the first 3 games, and we'll see how this game 7 goes. I think the Celtics will pull it off. I think Tatum, Jaylen Brown are better than anybody except for Jimmy Butler on the Heat. And you look at that 5, 6, 7 Brogdon, like smart, Devin White, Derek White. They're better than the 5, 6, 7. The whole roster on the Celtics is better outside of the coach. Is the only way if Spo can just figure a way to make Missoula look like an idiot, the Heat could win. But I think talent wins in this league. So I got Boston completing the sweep, and of course, it's another Boston team that has to do it.
I got our guy Doug here, probably from House of Agendas, tuning in. Appreciate Doug checking in here on a Monday. Well, Monday morning out here, 8:30 out there in Ohio. I think it's what we got. Is that 3 hour difference? So 11:16 out there, around lunchtime, actually. 0.2 seconds. Unbelievable. Just a finish of a lifetime there if you're a Celtics fan. I'm with you on the whole Boston thing, Case. It's kind of tough to see the Celtics possibly be another Boston team the team that's going to come back from 3-0. Doesn't mind it so much. It's the Heat for me that doesn't hurt me as much in that regard. What's your thoughts on maybe game 6? I mean, people are kind of killing Strus for not boxing out. That makes sense to me, but I know it seems like the defense was also to take away Tatum, but obvious his job, it's also a heads-up play by White. Your thoughts on game 6, and then what do you got for game 7?
First of all, it's a hell of a game. I mean, it was weird. Like Boston, almost tried to give that game away. I think they're up by 10 with 3 minutes left or something like that.
Yeah,
man, I was like Jimmy Butler that he gets fouled shooting the 3 to make those 3 huge clutch free throws, and then it comes down to obviously Marcus Smart.
He's gone.
Hey, that's what the Celtics do sometimes. They disappear.
Like that,
they disappear. I think that's a good metaphor that Casey's trying to give here. Is that is in the fourth quarter, just like they did in Game 7, which I found so weird that I was talking. Me and P Shark were talking about it here. Was in Game 7 the year before, the Celtics looked like they were going to win with 4 minutes left easily, and then all of a sudden the Heat come back like gangbusters, and then all of a sudden the Celtics end up winning it late again. That's exactly what played out here. Obviously, a much more devastating win. Is there a more devastating way to lose a game? If you're a fan of a team, is there a more devastating way to lose a game? Real quick on that game, though, Tyler, and Brian, I'll let you chime in here. Boston challenges giving Butler the 3. Maybe they would have ended up changing that anyways, where he ends up getting the 3 free throws in that regard anyways. And then you have Butler. He comes alive. Him and Bam were awful for most of that game. Not good at all for really most of that game at all. They looked like their legs weren't there. And then like I said, a gut-wrenching less for the fan base. Brian, your thoughts on that?
It's like I'm rocking the green today, so I'm going with the Celtics. But it's been pretty amazing. They go down 3-0, and now it's Game 7. Kind of reminds me of the movie Celtic Pride when they kidnapped Wayne's brother.
Is that what they did? They stole Tyler Hero. Is he not there? He's not really injured. They took him. Is that what happened? Case, you're kind of finishing up there. You gave a good metaphor on leaving. The Celtics not doing well. Any final quarter? Who do you like, the Celtics or the Heat tonight?
Oh man, it's tough. I mean, just seeing all the emotion and how deflated the Heat looked after that. I mean, you couldn't have thrown him a more perfect alley-oop to someone. There's he right place, right time. I mean, that any left to right.
You're going to the finals. You're going to the finals if he gets it off 0.2 seconds later. Going to the finals. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just wild. But I'm gonna stick with Miami. Unless no, I'm going with Miami. I was saying Jaylen Brown, he's due for a game, but I'm going to go with Miami. I think they can pull it off.
The thing about that rebound, though, is Tatum had the rebound to the right side. If it fell off the right side of the rim, obviously it had to come off the rim perfectly for either one of them to get it. But no one boxed out.
Get a body on someone.
Even Tatum was way up there on the rim, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I find it interesting the Celtics, from obviously a historical point, like I heard it somewhere is if the Celtics go on to win, that's a big if, obviously today. Because again, if you don't win today, that means really nothing at all. That layup. It will be something we kind of remember, hardcore fans and those fan bases, but it's not something. It will kind of disappear in terms of the lore of the shot. If they end up winning, it kind of reminds me of like is White become like the Dave Roberts of the Red Sox for that? You know what I mean? Like he gets the stolen base, they end up winning the series. Is that kind of the role he plays here? I also got to say, when I'm doing the podcast here, I'm literally. I was joking. I'm doing the podcast with a few chicks this week. I literally have like chicks in the garage that Derek brought home from his 4th grade Healdsburg Fair project, and they're chirping away or dimming over there.
I thought you were talking about women at first.
No, I know, that's what I said.
I don't think Hana would like that.
How's the smell?
Can't
be smelling good.
No, they're like 2 weeks old, so they're really small. But I can see them tripping away over there. Damn it. No. So last thing here I have on the game. I just find this interesting. Who's got more on the line? It could be like simple. Well, the Celtics, they this, but the Heat now are in a position. Well, yeah, they were the 8th seed, but you were up 3-0. You look good. You know what I mean? You were the number 1 seed last year. You were, you know what I mean? There is this pressure. The Heat culture, does that go away? Butler, this aura that kind of came with him. Bam! I was disappointed with him really lately there. I don't know. What do you think, Tyler? Who's got more on the line in that regard?
I think the Celtics still do, because this is their window to win a championship, where Miami didn't have any expectations going into this thing. Maybe you lost the expectations when the Celtics were down 3-0, but their window is still – I mean, they'll still have a window next year as long as Brown and Tatum are together. They'll have an opportunity, but they'll be in the finals. They'll have a chance again, just like last year. Will they be the favorites? Probably not, but I think they have a better shot of beating Denver than the Heat do.
Brian, they've been together. Like I think Brown now has played over 140 playoff games, and Tatum that's crazy to think about how many like playoff games these guys have actually played now together. And like it'll be interesting to see if they don't pull it out. Do they give him that massive extension? I mean, obviously, if you keep him, you're still going to be up there, with one of the best teams. But it'll just be interesting what Boston does. I'm assuming they keep him, but I find that part very interesting. Casey, do you think's got more on the line there?
I think it's Boston. It really is. I mean, this
Higher
will be especially if they do not make it, or even if I think they almost have to win the finals, because I mean you're running the same team back basically from last year.
Yeah.
And I almost think it says more about Boston than it does Miami in the series, because they're supposed to be a pretty heavy favorite going in, and then you kind of get waxed the first 3 games, and now you come back and win 3 in a row. So it's like, I don't know. I think we all thought the Celtics were going to win to start the series, but the way the series is gone, I don't know. I think it says more about the Celtics.
Yeah, no, I think I kind of agree with you guys there with that. Just kind of curious because Heat now 3-0, that kind of thing kind of makes it seem a little like something could go wrong there in terms of that Heat culture that gets built up. I'm like, man, well, if you blow a 3-0 lead, I guess it all stays the same, but it's just something I was thinking about there with it. I also kind of got a little note here. Do you think that you kind of mentioned it, Tyler? I kind of want the Celtics to win though from an NBA Finals standpoint. Like, I think the Heat, man, I don't know. I just feel like they're just so beat up in so many regards roster wise, and maybe Bam gives them a little bit trouble, but I don't know. I think Boston at least gives them a little bit better run.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Miami just can't score at times. The Celtics can't. It's all Eastern Conference really goes through these droughts and not being able to put the ball in the basket. Where Denver will not go through those streaks with Jokic on the court. So I think just Tatum's way that he can get hot, even though he's been pathetic in every 4th quarter basically in this series, which is concerning. That's been the biggest concern for me is how bad he's been in 4th quarters. But against the Nuggets, I think the Celtics are a much better opponent than the Miami Heat.
Do you think Denver is better than any team since we'll say the Lakers bubble team? Like, do you think they would have beat any of those teams? They would have beat any team in 2020. They would have beat those Bucks teams. They would have beat the Warriors last year. You think like this team right now, this Nuggets team, the way they currently are, do you think they would beat any of those teams? They seem pretty loaded right now. They seem like they're big too.
I'm a homer. The Warriors beat them last year in the playoffs with basically the same roster, so I'll say the Warriors could still give them a shot. I don't know who would win. It'd be a good matchup. I'm not going to say the Nuggets would win easily or anything like that.
Case, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think the Warriors would destroy him.
Yeah, they went the green. They did beat him last year, but again, they didn't have Murray. It's a totally different team. Casey, I'm just gonna mute you because your thing's going in when you talk normal when it's not when you so I'm just gonna mute you a little bit here with it. All right, let's go to Carmelo Anthony a little bit, Brian. Here, I always feel like Carmelo Anthony. He retires this year or this week. We kind of felt like it felt like he's been retired for a little bit longer than that, but he ends up officially calling it a career. I don't know. I was thinking about him a little bit. His draft class always matters to me because it came out. His draft was the same year I graduated high school, or like right there. Those guys are like all around my age. Carmelo's actually like 3 months older than me, so I always kind of think of those guys in that regard. I don't know. What do you guys think of Carmelo Anthony? What kind of stands out to you when you think of him? Brian, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, just that mostly it was at Syracuse when he took them all the way to and won the NCAA championship. I think that's got to be really his best moment. And then, him going to the Knicks and, he didn't really win a championship with them, but I think he's always been a good player.
What do you think there, Case?
Well, he's obviously going to be a Hall of Fame player.
No doubt.
He just never really his defense never really improved much as he was in the league. His offense always did, but I mean that's kind of who he was. He was just a gifted scorer. He didn't really make those around him better. I mean, I think the best team he probably played on was that Nuggets team when they had Iverson and I think Iguodala might have been on that team too.
I don't think it was the Iverson ones. I think it was the ones with Billups before Iverson got there. And Kenyon Martin.
Well, Billups was playing with Iverson as well that year.
Well, they got traded for each other. They got traded for each other. But it was I think it was the one that they made it to the Western Conference Finals with as well. What do you think there, Tyler, with Anthony retiring? What do you think of?
I'll just think of an excellent scorer who could score at all three levels. And then just isolations at the mid post and jab steps. Like that's how I think of him. He could get to the basket. He could hit the mid range just as well as anybody. And then he could get to the free throw line and hit the occasional three. And he was very clutch in last second situations. You knew he wasn't afraid to take the shot, and he hit a lot of them. The two again on the Knicks, I can't remember. I think it was against the Bulls on Sunday morning. I think it was. I remember that were just excellent and just a clutch player who never really got his due. He was always critiqued, I feel like. He was never beloved by any, the media or anything. And just, he was a conundrum. He was tough to put in a box. He was a great player who was hard to win with.
I kind of used to always think of him as T-Mac a little bit, but then T-Mac's a first ballot Hall of Famer, so they're not the same in that regard. Right? Like that's not.
Oh, Carmelo will be a first.
You think he'll be first ballot too? He'll get in there first ballot.
10-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA. I think so.
Yeah, he probably will. Then I guess you're right. It'll be interesting to see with him. His career to me is a very interesting one though, because like I said, the question there should either the Nuggets or the Knicks retire. And I was looking at the other top 75 players and the ones that obviously are still playing now. I mean, Chris Paul's the only other player I can think of, like what team might retire his jersey. But I think even Paul will get retired with like the Hornets, or that's where I feel like he'll get retired, but or the Pelicans, whatever they are. But with Anthony, I'm not sure if either of those teams will actually retire his number. Like, I'm curious if will he be the only top 75 player that won't have his jersey retired? Probably. Maybe Anthony Davis somewhere as well, but we'll see. You guys,
I think the Knicks will retire his number because he's from New York. Absolutely.
I've heard I listened to a lot of things this week, and it sounded like a lot of Knicks fans would be like, not pissed, but they'd be like, what the hell are we retiring his jersey for when we have all these other guys that we haven't even retired their jersey? Like, then why aren't we retiring John Stark's jersey? Why are we like Anthony didn't even
John Stark?
But Carmelo didn't even make it to the second round, or didn't even make it to the Western Conference Finals. He made
the All-Star team every year he was there. He still had great numbers. He's not John Stark. That's like team success doesn't necessarily.
Bernard King doesn't have his jersey retired there.
I mean, I don't.
Patrick Ewing's the only guy out of any of the new teams to have him there. So out of all since like the 70s guys, he's the only guy to have him retired. I'm not saying there should be any more, but he only played 6 seasons with the Knicks. He played 9 with the Nuggets. Like I said, he never got to the finals. Case, what do you think on that?
think maybe the Blazers will retire him just to get a number up there.
Blazers and Thunder.
0-0.
Blazers, come on.
Retire as a sixth man on the team. I don't know. I mean, he was such an interesting player. Like Tyler said, he was kind of like one of those guys that just never. I don't know. He was really good, but he wasn't like he never set himself apart from the greats. And so, but basketball, I feel like going into a Hall of Fame, they do the totality of college. So, as a national champion, and he played that 1 year and left. And I mean, he was a really, really good player. But when you look at like the guys like LeBron and Curry and D Wade and he was a tier below them. But I don't think he should have been. His work ethic and drive, I think, wasn't the same as theirs. He was just really, really gifted, and he stayed that way. And that's why he ended up kind of falling out of the league for a little bit.
I mean, his best year, what did he get here in the season? He ended up, I think his best year was 28.7. He got with the Knicks 1 year. That was his best scoring year, I think 2012, 2013. So, I mean, he had some great years. He was a good scorer. He mentioned he didn't win any. He never was on any. Let's see, how many All NBA teams did he end up making? He ended up making 6 All NBA teams. Was the scoring champ, as we said. What is top 75 player? I don't think the Knicks will retire his jersey. I don't. I would be stunned if they do, and I don't think the Nuggets will either. I think he'll. I just don't. Not right now. Maybe at the Nuggets it comes at some point down the line, like way down the line, like way down the line. But the Knicks,
they can't retire because Jokic is 50.
That's what I'm saying. But I don't think the Knicks. Why would the Knicks retire his jersey? He did it. He made the semifinals one time. I mean, I just can't see it.
He's a great player. Bernard King only played 3 seasons on the Knicks.
That I guess would be the argument. But like I said, why not a guy like John Starks then or Charles Oakley?
John Starks is really good.
Tim Hardaway got his jersey retired with the Heat. You got those guys that get there. Lonzo Morty got his. It's not always about the better player. It's just about your spot with the team. So I don't know. I always found these last things with him, and we'll get into it. Something else if you guys want to. Like I said, will he get his jersey retired? His 2012, 2013 season was magical. His Denver exit was always a little weird, and so was his New York one. They always, those two things, like the way he exited those places, probably don't help these arguments that we're talking about now, just in some way you look at them. And then he did love New York, though. I'll give him that. I do remember, like, this guy absolutely wants to be the New York because the Knicks suck, and he actually wants to play there. And remember, everybody case thought he was going for the money grab there with the 5-year extension, which he probably was. He got a lot of money in that as well, but I don't know. He actually did prove to Knicks fans, I guess he did want to be there. I didn't really always like the way he kind of worked in Jeremy Lin and Porzingis. I always felt like that was kind of a weird deal with them as well. So, Brian, any last thoughts on Carmelo there from your standpoint?
The only thing I ever remember about him was he always dated that Lala.
That's what Hana said too. That's what Hana said last night when I said that about.
I think that was the major reason he went to New York was because of Lala.
That might have been a reason why I said that one. Tyler, last word on Anthony?
He's a conundrum. A very good player that just had trouble winning. He's never had great rosters around him outside that one in Denver.
I'm gonna kick you out for a second. Come back into your audio. There's just kind of a little jacked up. I think your figure might be by your phone there. So come back in there in a second. All right. So I had, like I said, Anthony was drafted there. Didn't make any of the finals there with the team. So interesting career. And he's also remembered is that draft class being part of that, right, Tyler? Well, 2003 with LeBron and Bosch and Anthony and all those guys. So obviously that a big part of his career. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting looking back at his career. There were guys and just kind of, like I said, top 75 player in the NBA calls it quits. And like you said, a conundrum. That's a good word for him. That's a very good word for him. That's kind of how it is with him once in a while. All right. Let's get to our question of the week here. All right. So my question of the week is, it was brought to you by the code. Use that code VSP15 over at Row One Brand to get something off in the art gallery there. Who knows? Maybe a Carmelo a shot beating somebody in the first round there, getting to the first round. So you get something in the art gallery there, Tyler, with Carmelo. With it, I always got to take a cheap shot. Sorry. The other thing with Carmelo I didn't mention is, what if the Pistons drafted him? That's always one of our what ifs with Carmelo, right? That's always one of our big what ifs with him.
You mentioned another one.
They took that bad guy, right? The guy ended up being the boss.
The bad guy. Who's the bad guy?
More like Lighter. Like Darko, yeah.
Yeah, Darko.
Another one you mentioned earlier is he took that 5-year contract and he just took the 4-year Boss and LeBron. Does he get replaced Boss in that situation? Like,
Yeah.
what happens there?
Yep. You don't know if that ends up happening there too. All right. So question of the week here. I saw it online this week. I thought it was kind of a fun one. Give me your 4 favorite basketball players of all time. Doesn't mean like the best ever, but just got 4 guys that are your favorite. I ended up tweeting mine late last night. My favorites, as you guys know, Baron Davis right up there. Either Hornets, Baron Davis, right, Brian? The McGuirk days over there watching the Hornets play with the Charlotte days. I got to go him. Obviously, Steph Curry, no doubt. You don't turn on games as much as we did to watch one player like I did with him. I was a big Hakeem fan when I was in the backyard practicing the Dream Shake with a little 5'2" white guy out there in the back, trying to pretend like I'm out there at the long arms with the under moves. I just love that move. And then the Dirk, the fadeaway. I always liked the way Dirk competed. And he was annoying at times. And maybe it's because the Warriors beat him in the We Believe year. I love him even more. But like maybe he didn't give me any heartbreak in that regard. But I always liked the way he went at the Spurs back in the day. Like I think for me that was always a big thing, the way he went at them. And I don't know. So those are my 4 guys. Who do you got, Brian?
I got Kobe. I definitely got Shaq.
Yeah,
and then I got to go with Sean Payton, and then
Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton. He was one of my favorite players of all
Gary
time.
Payton, you mean?
Yeah, man, Gary Payton.
You're so football oriented, Brian.
I know. I was like, the Saints coach can who? That's it.
Gary Payton, and then I'd probably go Charles Barkley. I always love, especially when he was on the Phoenix Suns. That was probably one of his best years.
I like that. That's a good list there. That's a great list there. Who do you got, Tyler?
Brian Barkley's a good shout out. I got Clay, obviously. I love Clay. Clay's my guy. I'll always defend him. Then Steph. Steph is Steph. And then Steve Nash is probably my favorite non-Warrior of all time. Just the most fun player. Just brought a new era to basketball that was fun. Wasn't the 86-64 drag-out Detroit Pistons style games. And he just made it exciting to watch basketball again. And then my 4th was between Durant and Jordan. But Durant did a little more for the Warriors and helped us get a couple championships by putting Kevin Durant at my 4th spot.
I was thinking back to Carmelo. There was something I was thinking of Klay Thompson because you said it. I heard something on the radio this week about a lot of people. Some people think Klay Thompson's career might go in Carmelo's direction. How it kind of ended, going from team to team, because he looked a little old there. I thought that was kind of an interesting debate they had on the radio about that with Klay Thompson. Gilbert Arenas took a went at Klay as well this week, saying he wouldn't give him a contract as well. So. I just thought that was interesting when you mentioned him as your 4 favorite players. I love how 3 of them were Warriors too. That's always good.
Absolutely.
I threw 1 Warrior, but I made sure when I posted the Baron Davis, he was in the Hornets one there for sure. So that's our question of the week. Use that code VSP15. Get anything off in the art gallery, get 15% off there. It helps us over at Variety Sports Network, goes towards that. We appreciate anything there. Also, like I said, hopefully you guys can be a fatty here. I'm wearing the merch here, the sweatshirt. If anybody's watching, feel free to get a sweatshirt there. Love to have you. Love to have anybody support the pod like that. Reach out to me, DM me. We can help you guys with that many times. So, Brian, Tyler, with that, let's get to the bonanza part here of it. I got some questions. I'll just kind of throw them at you guys as we kind of go through the show here to finish it up. Big deal or no big deal, Brian? Jimmy Garoppolo's contract includes a waiver over a foot injury. The Raiders do it again, apparently in March. He doesn't pass the physical. The Raiders have to rework the contract. There's an out where if something happens, they can just basically cut him. From what I keep reading, is it like basically he has to finish the contract healthy 2 days after the season for him to get like the full payout in that regard, and the signing bonus, which is obviously the big chunk of change there. I believe it's like $11.75 million. I don't know. What do you think about Garoppolo there? Are you surprised? I know you're not surprised, but are you enjoying this a little too much?
Yeah, I think I am, because for 3 weeks you were just hyping the guy up like he was gonna turn the Raiders franchise into the greatest thing ever. And let me talk about this guy right here, Casey. I think all those shoulder taps led to that. Jimmy with the Raiders.
All the shoulder taps. If nobody knows what you're talking about, Casey always goes behind Brian and taps him on the shoulder. Brian looks one way.
I think now we're gonna send you Josh Johnson.
We definitely don't want Joshua. We have Brian Hoyer as our backup. You don't have to do any more damage to
Wow.
that. Stop it. That's not. We don't need anything like that. What do you think
It
there? Though?
definitely is a
deal,
big
though?
deal. Yeah, definitely a big deal.
What do you think, Tyler?
I think it's a good deal for the Raiders. They have this little out thing that this came up, and they got to rework the contract, give them less money, and have this. You better stay healthy, or you're not playing, or you're not getting paid. I think it's a good thing for the Raiders that this all came up. I mean, it sucks if you can't play because you're stuck with Brian.
And why not get a better backup in March when you know?
Well, they should have done that. If they knew about it, I don't know why they didn't go get a better.
The dumbest team in America.
Bill Callahan is back.
I don't get it.
know.
That
It's
made no sense to me at all. Why you're not re-signing a guy Tyler was there, but I'm kind of with you on it. Maybe not. Maybe it's actually a better deal with the Raiders in the regard
good
that they
work
can
their
get
self
out.
out in a good positive way.
But they also wanted their case. What do you think? Big deal or no big deal?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure quite what's going on. Something about Jimmy G, I'm sure.
We were saying if it, so his contract so basically he failed the physical in March. Now they reworked the contract to where they can not have to pay him the full amount because of that. As Jimmy G said it in his press conference, it's just a change of the language. Maybe that's all it is. So it's just a change of the language. He doesn't
He's so
think it's that big
full
of
of
a
it
deal.
sometimes.
Why, just because he eats grapes? That's not a big deal.
Brian's feeding them to him in the offseason.
Yeah, so basically the Raiders have an easier out of the contract now because of the fact that he didn't pass his physical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jimmy G's the answer. I mean,
yeah, you're a car guy. We know that.
Yeah, well, I think he's just putting a Band-Aid on a situation right now. I don't know. They said he's known to get hurt every single year, so it's a good clause to have.
And then you get Brian Hoyer as your freaking backup. And that's the issue I more have with the Raiders. Why not keep the guy Stidham? At least he looked like a decent quarterback against the Niners for a few quarters. I don't know. Why are we getting Hoyer time like that? We've done this many times. Nobody wants Hoyer. He's terrible. Garoppolo's going to get hurt probably in week 2, and then we're going to have to watch Hoyer the rest of the
in week 2.
Give it the benefit of the doubt.
I don't like this news. This is upsetting to me. And I'm not like, oh, let's go back to Carr. I'm not that person. Watch the tape, people, for 9 straight years. You did not watch every game of Carr. That's unrealistic. He was maybe your brother. Your brother's the only one I'll fight with on it.
Watch the defense. The defense was atrocious.
I know. We'll see. But Jimmy G brings good defense. That's the key. I noticed that where he goes to teams, he brings a good defense. So because he sometimes doesn't play good enough that the other players realize they have to raise their expectations. Is there something to that?
Oh, that's the case.
You get a worse guy to get your other guys to play better.
This guy sucks.
And that's what everybody always says about Jimmy is he wins. I'm like, no,
Just
the team wins. The team wins.
Well, that's important.
Started playing, the team didn't win. And when he doesn't play, the team doesn't win until Purdy got there.
That's true. That's the thing with him. That's why he's a conundrum. Maybe he's the Carmelo. Is he a Hall of Famer? No, but that brings to our next point here, Casey. Will Thomas? Will he begin as he get out of retirement? Is there a chance he can play for the Raiders? There is a little bit of a deal here that he's going to be buying into the Raiders, like a very small portion of it, which it sounds like an owner, or if you own a part of a team or buy stake into a team, you cannot play for that franchise unless you get the vote of all 30 teams to pass it. I think all 30 teams would pass it. That's my guess. If he really wanted to play and come back for the Raiders, it'll almost be like the Michael Jordan thing here. That's what I think. I think it would.
I think Bill Belichick is letting Kraft pass that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Kraft's the key, right? It's not really Bill. Bill would say
chose Bill over
well, Kraft is the owner ultimately. I think it'll be interesting if that's the case. It'd be funny if he gets his jersey retired while he's still playing. I don't know. I just think it's a funny little thing that there's a possibility that this could happen with it. Probably doesn't happen. The other thing I thought was funny with Tom Brady this week is that by him buying in, I was thinking there is no way, Brian, in blue hell, Al Davis would ever let that human being buy stock into the
No way. No
way. Do you think there's no way Al Davis would be like, yeah, you want it a little bit?
No, Tom, he'd just be like, Tom, tuck you.
This kind of reminds me of the movie Semi-Pro, where Will Ferrell was the owner and he was also the power forward.
Jackie Moon.
Jackie Moon, baby. Jackie Moon is the owner of the team. Give it to me. Post me up. I'm ready. Get back. I'm open. What do you think there, Tyler, with just Tom in general? Any thoughts on it? Al Davis, all that.
I mean, Al Davis would be rolling over in his grave if he was, or he is rolling over in his grave. Excuse me. Mark is an idiot. I don't know. He's a pumpkin pie haircutted freak from
He got a haircut.
I don't know. If I was a Raider fan, I wouldn't like it very much. It's like Troy Aikman buying into the 49ers. It just wouldn't happen.
The Raiders. I wouldn't mind Tom on the Raiders if he played. Actually,
no, I would as a player, but would you want him as an owner? I don't know. That'd bug me.
No. We've been getting a lot of facial cream products and stuff like that out there.
Tom and Jimmy to sling the facial cream.
Looks like Brian's shirt. If you scan maybe lower, it says "Who needs Tom?" Can't quite make it out.
More like "Who needs Jimmy?"
Who needs Jimmy? That's Brian's thought there with it. All right, well, that's the thing with the Raiders this week. A lot going on with them. Not a good start, Casey, already to our Raiders. I mean, like I said, it's already been 20 years of straight hell. So it's like literally, I think this is the 20-year anniversary of them making or the 21st year. So it's been 20 years now that they haven't won a playoff game. Unbelievable. Isn't that crazy? 20 years they have not won a playoff game.
People always give the New York Knicks shit. I think we're like maybe just as bad.
I mean, Terrell always brings up the Commanders. I'm sure that, I know he has a point with the Commanders, but it feels like even they have crappy quarterbacks that'll make the playoffs once in a while. But I guess they don't win in the playoffs. But
I mean, if you
guys down, made the playoffs a couple times.
What? We made it 2 times. That's all in 10 years.
The last
wild card round.
I think the 2 quarterbacks that gave the Raiders the best chance to win during that 20-year era was Derek Carr and Jason Campbell. Says a lot.
Jason Campbell, what a name I forgot.
Former Commander.
I remember I was pissed when he got hurt too, because you're right. We did have a chance with him. How about Dante?
Come on, what about Carson Palmer? He didn't help you win.
That was the worst trade at Hugh Jackson. I'll never forgive you for that. I remember being in the library at Mendocino College when that came up. I was like, "Are you kidding me? What kind of terrible trade is this?"
Jason Campbell injury led to that trade.
I know it was late, and I think Hugh Jackson knew he was out after that. All right, the Purdy rule happens, Brian. The Purdy rule. The NFL has approved now that you can get a third emergency quarterback, not an extra roster spot, but you can get a quarterback there if these hurt. And if neither of the 2 guys can return, then the third quarterback can play. But if one of the 2 guys are healthy and ready to go at any point, then the third one has to sit out, or the emergency quarterback has to go back and sit on the bench and grab the clipboard again. What do you guys think of this rule? Do you believe it's a good idea or just another way to save teams from themselves? Tyler, what do you think there?
I mean, I think it's a good idea. No one wants to watch a game where there's no quarterback on the field. Does it save teams from themselves? For sure. I'd agree with that as well. But no one wants to watch a quarterback not be able to throw a ball down the field and just have to hand it off. It's not good for anybody.
Okay, that's true.
If that's true, then we should just get rid of 5 NFL teams every year because there's some quarterbacks that can't throw at all.
But that's saving them from themselves. Just getting rid of teams. That's a little different than just adding a spot that isn't going to factor into 99% of the games played.
Yeah, see, I don't like it, Brian, because I'm like, what are we doing? Like, they added roster spots like a long time ago to do this, to be able to add an extra quarterback. But teams are like, well, there's no chance 2 quarterbacks are going to get hurt in one game, so they don't add the third quarterback. What the hell's the part of the strategy of having a roster spot? So I don't like that at all. I think you just keep the 46, and the teams, it's their punishment if they don't want to keep an extra quarterback. I mean, that's what happens. To me, I just don't. I mean, you're right. Tyler's like, it's a safe face because nobody wants to watch an NFC Championship game that felt like a preseason game. But, I mean, Josh Johnson was in there, and it felt like a preseason game at times, too. So, I mean, I know they had a little bit more of a chance, but it felt like they weren't really, like, in the game, per se. They weren't throwing the ball. They weren't really winging it down the field, even with him in there. I don't know. I just think it just kind of bails the teams out, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kelsey had the same opinion you did when they interviewed him. He didn't like it at all, but I kind of agree with Tyler. It's I don't really want to see Josh Johnson in an NFC Championship game, so I actually like the rule. So
You're agreeing with Tyler. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Well, he was our backup. We would have saw him no matter what happened in that.
What do you think would happen if the third quarterback comes? Like, all right, it's okay. So I always try to think, like, what happens if, like, how can they manipulate it, the NFL or the teams? So, like, let's say, like, the back, let's say Hoyer, the Raiders, he gets Jimmy G goes out in game the first season, right? And then right after that, Hoyer time gets knocked out right in the game. And the third quarterback, I don't know, we'll call him John Smith. He comes in the game. John Smith comes in the game. He ends up playing pretty good. The Raiders start making a comeback. Hoyer time says they can come back. What, is that where the NFL says, well, that leg looks a little bit worse right now. You should sit out a little bit more. Like, I don't know, like, is there a way for maybe that's far and few between, but I'm thinking about how the NFL, like, and teams can always manipulate it. Because that's what they're trying to do as soon as this rule comes out.
I mean, using the Raiders as a hypothetical, the Raiders staff would just bash him in the leg again and say, Hoyer, shut up. You're not coming back to this game. Like, that's what would happen.
Give me the good stuff. No, you will not get the good
They
stuff.
just pull Tanya. They pull Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan.
Knock them out of the thing there. I don't know. I just think it's kind of an interesting thing what they'll do with the rule here going forward. And like I said, maybe it's not a big deal, but I just kind of find it interesting that because of that one thing with the Eagles, we have the Eagles nailing the Niners not being able to protect the quarterback, and not keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster, which they easily could have done. The NFL makes a rule that we need to change it. So I think that from that part, Brian, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, like I said, you don't want to be in a situation where you have to bring in Josh Johnson.
Well, it's not Josh Johnson. It's the third guy you got to bring it after Josh, right? That's the guy you got to worry about after that. This year, it was funny. We were doing that podcast, me and Brian, last week, and we were talking, Tyler, about, maybe you heard it, we were talking about Purdy and keeping 3 quarterbacks on the roster. Then they end up coming with this rule. Like, I think the Niners will just end up keeping 3 if it comes down to it, the way they're talking. Chris Sims did a thing where he had Purdy as the 25th best quarterback, or 24th, and Darnold right behind him at the 25th
Sims
spot
is a
there.
moron. He's been a moron for
you're-
years.
Yeah, I think he's not bad, actually. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I actually like his take. He had Garoppolo number 20, by the way, as the best quarterback on the list. He thought Garoppolo looked
Well, I
pretty
How
guess
could
that's
you have
not looking
Garoppolo
very
over
good right now.
Purdy? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, he
Niners got
said
way
he
better when
looked
Purdy
better
was
in
in.
those situations that he had, and he gives like an experience a little bit of an edge over him.
Exactly. He's an idiot. He makes up things.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Purdy can deliver. Like Ryan says, there's more tape out on him. So we'll see what happens with that. I think the Darnold Purdy thing, I think that's where it's headed, guys. I keep saying it every week. Brian, I want Lance to go, but the way the talk is going is it just feels like they're setting it up where Darnold is going to be the backup.
You're buying into the preseason hype.
Yeah,
Maybe I
mean,
am.
It's not gonna. I don't know. I mean, I think you're misreading things, but
Maybe so. I mean, we'll see what happens. It does feel like why would they not say these things about Lance? Like, why would they come out this much about Darnold? I just don't get. He's 26. He is. He was a 7th pick overall.
he's the only guy that fumbled in the first day of OTAs. He's terrible.
He didn't get any starter reps. I don't know. Like, I don't get it.
All right.
What happens when you listen to Chris Sims?
That was not what I was hearing about Christopher. He had him as the 26th best quarterback. So, all right, let's go.
He sees ghosts. He admitted it on national TV. I don't get it. What this love affair with this bum?
Cardinal, a couple of things here you guys could touch on either one. Cardinals release Hopkins. Maybe where does he go? Andy Reid, not a fan of the kickoff rule, where if it's within 20, if you like, so it's 25-yard line or in, you wave your hand, fair catch, you automatically get the ball at the 25-yard line. Andy Reid says, what is this flag? We're turning this into flag football. Special teams coaches everywhere are rolling over in their grave. Maybe it even causes more head collisions if people do like the squib kick. I don't know. I know they're doing it for safety reasons. Gruden, has he got a job yet? Is he getting paid? The Saints, they bring him in. He's helping Carr out with the West Coast offense there. It didn't really help the Raiders too much, but we'll see if it helps the Saints a little bit with that. What do you guys think of any of those topics there with the NFL? Hopkins, maybe Tyler, where do you think he goes? Bills? They have the money.
No, I think he ends up on the Chiefs.
The
I think
Chiefs?
him and
Is it really
Gary-
the Chiefs? Is it that much? Is it game
God.
over? Could you imagine if he goes on the Chiefs?
I think Hopkins lost a lot. He wasn't beating people down the field last year. It was all underneath stuff that was short yardage. Like his yards per catch wasn't as good as it was in previous years. I think he's lost this. I still think he can be effective, especially with Patrick Mahomes, and that's why the Chiefs would bring him in. As far as the 25-yard thing, it's ridiculous. The Niners waste a third-round pick on a guy who can kick it out of the end zone because Robbie Gould couldn't, and now that has gone out the window. I know. Yeah, that rule sucks. What was the third thing you brought up?
Well, Saints bring up the Gruden. He goes to this. He goes there.
And people have short memories and really don't care. It's all just to look good about certain instances and saving face. Just like the jaw thing, just like the Gruden thing. Everybody will forget once they get put back on a roster and they're doing a job.
Time heals. Time people forget. Either way you want to look at it in that regard. Like I said, Brian, anything else with anything NFL wise? Where do you think Hopkins ends up? Eagles?
I think he ends up with the Bills. I'm saying I just don't want him going to the Chiefs, but
I said the Giants. I think he ends up. The Giants desperately need a receiver, right? Like I think that would be a good. Tyler, you said the Texans. That would be funny.
I think that's a good landing spot for him. You got Stroud coming in. You have Brandon Cooks on one side, bringing Hopkins who can get open. We know they can do that. He's the best hands probably in the whole NFL, I would say.
And I know Hopkins really likes living in Texas, so.
No taxes.
Everybody's gonna like that. Everybody's gonna like that part of it. All right. Well,
it was kind of funny. They showed the Cardinals' offense next year, and it's like they're gonna have the number 1 pick.
You think so? Even with Murray?
Yeah.
That would say a lot about Murray as the quarterback. If he played the whole season and they had the number 1 pick, that would not be a good showing at all. Then you're gonna get more of those little you'll get those little what is it, the little cars going on the freeway again, those videos where they end up getting the number 1 pick. That will happen there. A lot of interesting things in NFL happening right now. Just I don't know. I've been fascinated by the offseason this year. Like look at rules changes and some of like the player movement. Jackson just even missing a little OTAs. He's back with it. Rodgers goes out for a little bit. His first OTAs, nothing big deal. A lot of these things are a little bit of nothing though. So, but it's always got a little fun talking points. The Hopkins one's a big deal though. If he does go to the right team, like you said, Tyler, like the Chiefs, maybe he lost a step or two. But if you go play with a team like Patrick Mahomes, I mean, how do you lose a step or two playing with him?
Definitely would help.
I mean, all the guys that go back and play with him, it always makes sense. So, I also said, what'd you guys think of Big Ben this week when he said he wasn't rooting for Pickens to first succeed when he became the quarterback because he was taking his spot? I thought that was kind of. I rip on Big Ben a ton, but I actually like that quote he said because sometimes I can get that feeling, right? Like you don't want that person that's taking your job to initially have success. He said he wanted the fans to remember him in that regard. So I don't know. Maybe it's a douche thing of him to say, but what do you think of that, Brian? You think it's any deal? Like, I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, it's what most quarterbacks would probably say. I mean,
well, Brett Favre was it. No, but I mean,
remember Tannehill when they took Malik Willis? He said, "I'm not going to be mentoring the kid."
Aaron Rodgers said it about Jordan Love. I think it's natural for most
somebody needs to mentor Tannehill still.
Who would want Tannehill to mentor them? I think it's just natural for most of these quarterbacks to be like, "F this guy replacing me." I still like they're competitive. They have egos. They want to be the best. And I respect that he came out and told him to his face. Like I thought that was really cool.
I hope you suck.
Well, he didn't say that. He said, "I hoped you suck. I got over it. I hope you play well." But I thought it was pretty cool that he could say it to his face. Like I actually wanted you to fail. But here we are having this conversation. And I think it's normal for quarterbacks to feel that way.
Don't break a leg. Don't break a leg. When you're out there. No, I'm with you. It's funny how like he's an elite quarterback like Roethlisberger, right? He'll be in the Hall of Fame. And then you hear quotes from like your typical backup quarterbacks now, like Andy Dalton. I heard him this week. Like, I know what my role is. I'm there with that. I understand I've had my time and there's a chance that, like it's just funny, like the different level of quarterbacks where he's not like, oh yeah, I'm glad that Burrow's doing great there in Cincinnati.
But the worst is when it's an Andy Dalton like quarterback. Dalton's in his prime, but he acts like he's a Hall of Fame quarterback who has like his job's untouchable. Like those are the worst quarterbacks.
There is that part of it. All right, the A's are 10 and 49, 10 and 45. Brian,
wow,
to go 30-132. We're talking Cleveland Spiders possible. This is under. Is it possible to break the Cleveland Spiders record, an unthinkable record? I did have a lot. I don't know. There's so much with this team. Like I said, on pace for 30. That seems unthinkable, Tyler. Just like, how do you actually? I mean, even we did simulations. Didn't we win like at least 40 games? The Tigers are the worst team I can remember in 2003. I mean, literally, they're only players with a plus WAR and barely. Like I think a 1 and 0.5 was Carlos Pena and Dimitri Young. That is the nobody else on that team was the worst. Like, yeah, exactly. So this team though has Tyler. really no professional players on it outside of maybe like Laureano and a few guys here or there, right? Like Seth Brown could probably, but Seth Brown wouldn't start on a lot of these. He'd be like he'd be a hitter against righties off the bench or something like that. They trade Sean Murphy, who had club control. They wanted to suck. They wanted this to happen. Unbelievable that they could break this record, and not just break it, destroy like any modern day record, which is basically 42 wins by the Tigers.
I remember after week 1, they had a pretty decent week, and I was like, "No, these guys still are going to suck." And here they are, 10-45, 199 run. My God, they are bad. A story where Reese could find a spot on a roster as like a runner. Yeah. He's probably not a starter. Yeah, it's unwatchable baseball. I don't blame Oakland fans at all for not showing up. I would not show up either to watch this product.
But it's not even for the product. It's now at this point, it's for the fan. And I do like the fact that
I think it's for the product.
I think if the team was good too, I don't think the fans would show up, given that they said they're moving too. I think it'd be a comment. I mean, you might get like a couple hundred more, but I don't think you'd be getting a ton.
You think if they were 45-10, they wouldn't be showing up still?
If they were showing up, if they were on an all-time record pace, right? All-time record, it still wouldn't be a sellout. There's no way. They's never even sold out.
That huge. A lot of baseball teams.
I think they would get like 15,000.
Yeah, that's about normal when they were good in 2020.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think they would get that now. Actually, just with the team movie, I don't think they would actually get it. I think fans would I wouldn't still go to the game because they're leaving. Like it's just you just watch them on TV. I don't know, Brian. What are your thoughts on it there?
Yeah, I mean it's just, and then Frost makes kind of a boneheaded comment saying that how the fans feel about him is becoming a distraction. Well, it should have been a distraction a long time ago. So.
Dude, like I said, I do appreciate the fact that more people are being a little bit more aware to it, but there are some people that are unaware. Like the ownership wanted this to happen. Like this is what they wanted. Maybe not to go this bad, but I also think, Tyler, there is this fascinating part by the A's going so bad. Like, could it actually help? Like, you know what I mean? Like it brings almost more attention to your team in terms of what the hell this guy doesn't give a crap at all. You know what I mean? Like, which he hasn't ever for a long time. But when you're this historically bad, like it's like Cleveland Spiders-esque, like, you know what I mean? Like, or Richmond Spiders. I don't even think they were the Cleveland Spiders. I think they were the Richmond Spiders. I think they were the university. What are you doing? I mean, that's the part for me. Like, and I can tell you as a Giants fan, you're not fully invested in it from that regard, but I just feel like, but I think you should be aware of it, like in terms of your friends and stuff, that this isn't just go on the product. This is an ownership deal that made this season basically happen. They could have
the ownership puts the product out on the field.
Yeah, they could have better players than this.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, nobody has to suck this bad. There's no way they chose this to be 10. I mean, it's just bad. I don't know what to say about it. I feel bad for you guys as fans of this team.
Who would be the number 1 pick in this year's draft? Would the A's take?
I don't even.
Probably someone they can. Probably some guy who's like the 15th ranked prospect because he's cheaper than the first ranked prospect. Is what I would. But I don't think they're forcing.
It's not even this year. It's next year's draft.
Yeah, I don't think it's draft. How do they force out the owner just because you suck? Can you force out an owner for just being?
I don't know. Like I'm just saying the pressure of like this. Like why are we giving this guy this thing? So I don't know. That's kind of my. I don't think you can force him out. I'm just hoping that just more attention comes to his crappiness, and maybe there's something there with it. Like
hey, look how long it took to get Snyder out of Washington.
Yeah, and he had other things going on that got him out of Washington that's not just football related.
That's what we need. We need something like that.
We need a plant, someone to plant something in that organization.
Come on, John, do something. Let's go.
Put the strippers in the front office.
Whatever it takes. Real quick, who would you rather have, Ricky Henderson or Pete Rose?
I don't think they're close. I'd rather have Ricky Henderson. He hit more power. He was a better defender. He stole more bases. He was way more athletic. I just think Ricky Henderson's game translates to all eras better than Pete Rose's little singles.
On the vote, I saw he won the vote 62%. I talked to Josh on 7th inning stretch about it. He took Pete Rose, and he did not take Ricky Henderson.
He always goes with the classic old white players.
I know he always used that phrase "Ricky time." I'm gonna steal second, steal third, and then the sacrifice fly, and I go home and score.
I was thinking about it. Like I went Ricky Henderson too, Brian, but then I also went like there is an argument though for Rose. Obviously, like the guy obviously won multiple World Series. Like his hitting, like in an intense game like that, switch hitter. could play multiple positions, that type of thing. But I'm with you guys. It's definitely Ricky Henderson. But I thought that was interesting bringing it up. All right, we're almost down to the end here. All right, big deal here. You got to bring up hockey every week. Latvia, they close out a surprise. They beat USA at a World Cup or at a hockey upset. The government says they call a holiday. They made a holiday for it. Should the USA adopt this? Does the USA need to adopt this theory? And after a big USA win of some sort, is there any way we could get a day off? Tyler, like the USA declares it a national holiday. I was thinking maybe if it happened in a World Cup, like let's say that USA wins the World Cup in 2026 on a Sunday, does whoever does the president come out of the United States and say, "Hooray! You guys get Monday off of work the next day"? Does that happen?
Probably not.
What's the Vince McMahon song? There's no chance. No way. That would just cause for people to go riot and flip over cars and do stupid shit. There's no way.
People be celebrating.
No, they wouldn't. They'd celebrate idiotically and just cause damage to businesses. That's how we get our point across. When we're happy, mad, whatever it is, we just damage property.
So I want a day off of work. We don't have to have a parade. We just get a day off of work, a national holiday. Brian, you don't like this idea?
I like the idea. I just think they would.
I think the day after the Super Bowl should be a holiday every year.
Yeah, but only a little. I bet less people watch the Super Bowl than if the USA was in the World Cup final.
No.
You don't think more people would watch the World Cup final?
Not Americans. I think worldwide, yeah. But
no, I'm talking in America.
No, I don't. Maybe.
I think it would get a bigger rating than the Super Bowl.
I think it would worldwide. I don't know if you.
I think to be honest, there's no chance in hell the United States would make it to the World Cup final.
Even you got home field advantage in 2026. You kidding?
We just got this Britain kid that's supposed to be good, but once we coach him up, they'll get worse.
It doesn't make sense. We got this Britain kid. That's good. No, I'm just kidding.
It doesn't make sense. That's how it works.
It's like the World Baseball Classic. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You have Radio Rosarena on Mexico. That doesn't look like a Mexican out in left field.
That's him out there. My wife said it was. All right, so Andres Biedrins, he's there. I guess he played hockey on the team. No, I was kidding. Could you imagine Andres in skates?
No.
All right, we're here. We're close to the end here. Final part. Been good podcast. We had a lot to get into today. Tyler, I know you got to get going here in a few minutes. But what we got here, what do you got for winner of the week here or losers? We'll let you start it out, Tyler. What do you got?
I'll go with winner. My winner is Joe Mazzulla. After being
Fire Joe,
just getting ripped apart by everybody, saying he's the worst coach of all time, me included. He bounced back, and now you see these articles about how he's this fiery competitor who's leading this team back to it from 0-3 to maybe win a 7-game series.
Fire him now. I love it. Yeah, that's why I like Savage's tweet. Fire Joe Mazzulla after they won. I like that's good. After they won. Brian, who you got for winner of the week?
I'm gonna say winner of the week is Kyle Shanahan because he's looking like a genius with Jimmy now because he's probably in his office smirking right now, going, "Yeah, this is what we had to deal with for 6 years."
Well, you also like to know he did win a lot of games for him there, Brian, as we like to tell you there. So
God.
That'd be so messed up on shit. Maybe he deserved that. He gets all his quarterbacks hurt. Shanahan shouldn't be happy about that. All right, I got a lot of winners of the week here. Hendricks returns for the White Sox successfully, like from his cancer-free. Played for the A's. Big shout out to him, Liam Hendricks, returning there to the White Sox. Obviously, that's a big deal here in my family when somebody recovers from cancer there. And I think in most families, that's a big deal there. The media, like I said, on the A's, I'm appreciating that a little bit more. People coming at the owner a little bit more. Joe Pavelski, Jolton Joe, he gets the game winner. Game 4, Sharks shutout. We talked about that, Brian. They're keeping it alive. Game 6 today. Maybe they could force it. Little Joe Pavelski magic there. We get a game 7. The winner is all of us. We get a game 7 today. That's the best part of today. We do get a game. We get an elimination game in the Eastern Conference Finals. I do appreciate that. Craig Kimbrell gets his 400th save. Unbelievable that Craig is on that list. 400 saves. One of the best. Let's see real quick. You got if beating US at a bronze medal game is a reason for all that, then that says more about the sadness. That is a Latvia. I think it's Andres Biedrins their best player. Is that it, Ryan? That's what I'm saying, Brian.
I got one more winner of the week. I got to go with Seth Rollins. He won the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship and basically, I wish right now Darren could put up his doll.
I don't have the Seth Rollins bobblehead with me. No, I did not have that. Real quick to Ryan's point here. That's what I'm saying. To me, I was trying to think like USA, what's an event like? We pretty much are kind of right in the conversation.
It'd only be World Cup.
That's what I was thinking. So, was there anything else? Deep diving? Is there like a high dive?
Maybe an Olympic event or something, but even
I can't think
we're
of
always
that.
favored. We beat Usain Bolt in the race. I don't know.
Oh, Urbe, Latvian. That's good knowledge. That's great knowledge there. Urbe, that's definitely better than Biedrins.
Much better than Biedrins.
Andres did see how Urbe he made. I was just thinking if he'd go past the second round. I don't think he ever made it past the second round. The Shark. But I know Andres, he definitely did not make it past the second round with the Warriors. The best part about Andres with the tips at the end of right, he always went the little tips at the end. It always seemed like he cared more about his hair than his playing game.
It didn't move while he played, that's for sure. Another winner I have.
He shot free throws like he couldn't move either.
Very stiff. Very stiff. Another winner of the week is Bruce Bochy, just doing a magnificent job. The best manager since Joe Torre. Just Hall of Fame manager, and he's proving why. Just the Texas Rangers haven't been relevant in a decade. Well, I guess since those World Series.
How about Bobby Cox?
That's the same era as Joe Torre.
All right.
And Bochy's got 3, baby.
That's true. He does have 3. He's right up there with Torre in that regard. Those were good winners of the week. Like I said, Kimbrel gets his 400th save. He jumps up on a high list there of guys. He's in the top 10. Incredible, some of these guys. He passes Eckersley at 390. A little salute to the troops, of course. Winner of the week, right? Anybody that serves in the military.
Absolutely.
We talked about that here on Memorial Day. Tyler, I know you have a family that's out there. I have a family that serves as well. So salute to the troops out there, keeping us safe here and letting us do a silly little podcast like this. So major salute out to you guys. Winner of the week, Eric Lewis burner account. I guess a referee. They're investigating a Twitter burner account from the ref. I love how LeBron made a tweet like, "What is this Eric Lewis stuff true?" Remember, because wasn't he the ref when he didn't call the foul or on LeBron against the Celtics? Reacted there. LeBron, I don't feel sorry for you in that regard, bud. I do not feel sorry on there, but I love the burner account idea from a ref, Tyler. A ref deserves a burner account, I feel like.
He went the KD route. He saw what KD was doing. He's like, I can be petty. Let me get a burner account.
That's a good call.
My way on this.
That's a good call. What are you talking about? Nobody ever gives the ref credit, so that's probably what the issue.
He had to speak up for himself, and not me, whatever.
What are you talking about? No, I did not see anything on the camera. That's still one of the craziest things I've ever seen when he comes up to him on the camera like that. All right, I got that for it. And then also, Brian, you talked Shanahan. This is a weird winner of the week for me. I think the Niners successfully stealing Kenny Pickett's playbook. Did they decide to steal Kenny Pickett's car and then get with the playbook in it? Was this for getting ready for week 1? Is this a move? Is this a Kyle Shanahan move? A double smile. Jimmy G goes out. He injures him, right? He goes Tanya on him. We're not aware of that. And then he ends up stealing Kenny Pickett's playbook in the car. Double smile for Kyle Shanahan this week. Winner of the week. I did not condone stealing a car, though, Tyler, but I did think that was funny.
Any way to get that playbook for week 1, I'm okay with it. Go get that playbook.
Could you imagine if that was the case? Like it goes that deep. Somebody in there stealing the car. I see the playbook in there. Go. How does it get stolen? But hopefully it's not from the facility. Can't get it stolen from the facility. That would be bad. Somebody's getting fired if that's the case. Yeah, all right, loser of the week. Who do you got, Tyler?
I got the Miami Heat. The last 3 games, they played better the last 4 minutes of Game 4 and Game 6. But before that, the 2 games before that, they were pathetic. They didn't even show up. It looked like they were even trying to win. It looked like they were getting some fresh legs. And then to lose Game 6 the way they did, it's tough week for the Miami Heat. We'll see how they do today.
Brian, what do you got?
I got Frost from the A's. He's just not looking good right now, and they have even passed the bill in Vegas. So
I guess it's up for vote. It's up for vote this week, Tuesday, to get it on the ballot to be voted for. So we'll see what happens. Vote no, Vegas. Vote no.
I wish I still had that. I wish I still had that F. Dave Cavill video that I made about a year ago today.
You should. We can put it on there every time.
F.
Dave Cavill. We can put it on there every single time. All right. My loser of the week here. It's Speaking, that baby's gone. Kuiper officially fired from the A's, so he officially gets canned. Adam messed up with that tweet. He goes, "Give it a rest, Glenn. That baby's gone." A typical Adam fashion, giving a little jab to Glenn on the way out. I don't know, Glenn. The weirdest part about that investigation, they said they did an internal investigation, right? Like, okay, well, the guy said the word that what's the investigation? Like,
I don't know. Well, they did it multiple times.
I mean, or like, was there something in there where he said, "Fisher, you suck," and he gets out of there or something? Is that what happens? So I got that for loser of the week. I got Boone gets Boone is suspended a game for crushing umpires, basically ripping on them too much, Brian. So he gets suspended. And then we also got summer workout videos. This is where you get those time of the year where you get basketball players in the summer working out, and you get, well, look at this guy. Look at Kuminga. Look at him right now. Look at that step back. Right now, Tyler, he looks unreal in the summer. Like, that stuff to me is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. Another video I need to get rid of is the after game shooting videos. I don't need to see those. I don't care if you're shooting after the game, just because you sucked the night before or that night. I don't need to see you shooting afterwards.
I know that one's like, it's like, hey, it worked out this morning.
Cool.
You need practice, there.
Good job.
I ate. So that's our loser. That's our losers of the week here. I thought it was a good show, guys. Like I said, we got some big games today. We have the hockey game 6, and then we got, of course, the game 7, Celtics Heat. If it was old school, I'd say it'd be 75-72, but we'll see what Brian, you have the Celtics winning. Tyler, you have the Celtics winning. I got the Heat winning. Casey has the Heat winning. So we got it 2-2 all the way around there with it. One last thing here, T. I wanted to shout you out as well. You're going to be taking a little breather here, right, for a little time?
Yes, sir. About a month at least. So it could be a little while. I appreciate everyone who listens, but I will not be on Fatboy for about a month. Darren, thanks for always providing me the platform, but I'll be gone. I'm busy. I'm worn out. Yeah, I just need a little break.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. It's a lot sometimes, right, with doing the show every Sunday, kind of committing to that, especially when you got, what are you working, 60 hours a week, right? And then probably the big thing is the coaching with it too.
And then, coaching on top, and then just having little league soccer every weekend. There's just no time for family right now. I just need to make a little more extra time. Even though I do this so early in the morning, I'm just tired.
I'm gonna pretend like that hat being thrown away did not happen either.
It might have been an indication.
That's hilarious. That was the start of the end right there. No, but in serious, I hear you on that, man. It does kind of grind on you a little bit doing this, especially when you were doing the T&B podcast during the week. You have to kind of get that ready. Like I said, it takes me like 4 hours, if I'm researching this, and during the whole week I'm taking multiple notes with it. So I don't know. I try to do our best with it. I know you were always kind of doing the same thing, looking up notes, and for your other shows, you're doing the same thing. You were doing with Terrell on Wednesday nights, and as well. So, like I said, we'll call it your sabbatical. Like I said, we'll call it your sabbatical here on the podcast here. Brian, I know you're going to pick up the slack here for a little bit or with it. So, Tyler, hopefully you'll still be able to comment in once in a while, too.
Absolutely. I'll be listening.
Comment in and give us some crap when we say something stupid, and then we can at least go back at you with it. So, appreciate you, Tyler. Obviously, the podcast, you're a big part of it. One of the main reasons that we have this thing still going. So, guys, Brian, I'm going to be in Disneyland next week. We'll probably do it on Sunday. I might do it from the greatest. Might do it from Disneyland next Sunday. So
my wife was very jealous when she heard about your Disneyland trip. Stayed in the hotel you're staying in. Very nice. You're doing it nice. You're doing it right.
Doing it right. Finally, I haven't gone since I was like 8 years old. I'm like 8 years old, so it's probably changed a little bit.
Be prepared to stand in lines.
Well, I don't do lines. No, just kidding. No, just kidding.
You're gonna be doing a whole lot of nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Right,
I'm definitely used to the fireworks every night from Disneyland.
Yeah, for sure. All right, till next time. Peace.